What is going on? It is Daniel with Cuervo ATV, and today we are talking about what it takes to get to 100 horsepower, or very, very close. What is the big step between the average high 80s, low 90s build and getting to that elusive 100 horsepower motor? So, this is one of the latest ones that we have done. This is a 825cc, so it's a 6 mil with a 108 bore, standard jug height, fairly simple motor as far as making big power on relatively simple parts. So this is our 6 mil stroke with Carrillo rod. It's a proprietary setup, meaning that the piston has to go with that rod combo. And we offer the pistons for these. These are a 15 plus compression piston and makes 825cc. And this is our +2 stainless valve dual exhaust outlet 06 through 14 cylinder head package. In the bottom end of this engine, we got the crank, got a billet clutch basket. We got a little bit of transmission work, meaning that we pull the first and reverse gear out of this, being that it's a drag motor. You're not going to use those two gears. So we do pull those out of there. That is going to pick up a little bit of power by reducing that internal drag there. So there is some gains there in transmission work, but otherwise there's no special bearings or coatings or any additional processes. This is as close as a bolt together combo as it would be if I sent all these parts out to a customer for them to put together. There is some machining involved in boring the cases to fit the 108 bore cylinder, and then on the 6 mils we do clearance the rear counterweight, which is a 5-minute process to do. Boring the cases does require going to a machine shop to get that done, or sending your cases in here and I'll get them done for you. But standard +2 head package with our 5250 camshaft, stainless valves, RD spring kit, and a direct drive lockup clutch. That's another thing that is required to make in this horsepower and torque level. So this particular motor made a little over 99, and it made 69 foot-pounds of torque running on drag pipes. So it had the left and right side monster megs. So those work really well for this power level and on a +2 head. That is one of the things that goes with that. Could it have made a little bit more power on the right hand suicides? Maybe, but normally on a +2 head we are keeping on the left and right side pipes that make a bit more cleaner power delivery and more torque for sure. On this configuration we're also running the Empire 54mm throttle body. Now we don't jump to the 58 until we're looking for over 100. 54 makes the best overall power curve for that horsepower range. Basically, if we're trying to do a +3 head, then we'll go to a 58, but if not, we're going to stay on 54. So that's a mistake I see a lot of guys doing, is going too big on the throttle body right away. You're giving up a lot of horsepower most of the time on most cylinder heads, and quite a bit of torque by going 58 and not 54. So what else do we got? Well, nothing fancy. Standard water pump, standard coolant in the head, EFI. Like I said, this is you wouldn't say run of the mill, because we do a more premium head than what else is out there, but this is our standard, nothing added on to CNC head package. So supports 100 horsepower. So we're gonna go over here and take a look at the dyno sheet. Now this engine's relatively what you would say small to be in this horsepower range. So we can take a look here. Let's see. Let's zoom in a little bit. Reposition this camera. Give me a second here. All right, sorry about that, but here we go. So we are looking at almost 100 horsepower in that almost 69 foot-pounds of torque and a pretty broad power curve, meaning that torque comes on hard, stays for a long time, and we're revving this out to 9,600 RPM. So making peak 8,200, 8,100 in that range. Now this goes as a, what I say, I didn't mess with anything to get to this level. The bike's on MR12, has a normal filter setup, meaning that the filter's not special to anything different that we sell. This was also done on a bike that had a steel axle, unmodified, aftermarket cheapy carrier, standard brake setup, had an older chain on it. So nothing really modified special for drag. So if we were to do a few modifications, put a nice chain on there, do some tweaks on the carrier and put aluminum axle, this would go over 100 horsepower, just freeing up the power that is already there, but by making a clean, effortless transition from engine to the tire itself. So what we got is a high horsepower, fairly easy to put together, it's going to be fairly reliable engine, making close to that triple digit number as much as you can. I'm going to call this one 100 horsepower. Now what it takes beyond that is a very good tune-up is extremely important for this horsepower range to make one of these engines live. This particular engine, it was extremely hot that day, so I actually mixed in with the MR12 some MRX02, which will actually kill the power a little bit, but we gave it some more octane. This particular customer is going to be running at high elevation, so it will be far from on edge on just MR12. So that is what it takes. We do offer bigger engines, but this is as much power as you're going to see out of a +2 head combination. And I prefer this combo, this 6 mil versus doing a 8 mil with a 108 bore. Similar setup, but this has a lot better rod ratio in it, so it's more efficient. The piston's lighter, and we get a bit more power out of it, even though it is smaller than a 843. So that is gonna be a fun bike to ride. The last thing we're going to talk about quickly is override versus not override in this engine combo. This will be very difficult to ride at sea level on a standard shift transmission. So keep that in mind. That first shift is going to be extremely difficult. Having the additional RPM here after peak and still pulling, that's going to give a lot of mile an hour, but it's also going to make the ability to not have to be super precise on the shift point. So you can hang the RPM a little further out the top to be more stable on the bike, to be able to shift it at the most efficient range without being on the rev limiter. So that is an important part. So not just making the peak number, but having a very broad power curve and RPM to be able to gear the bike and ride the bike to its potential. So that's what we have today. if you are at the end of this video and this interests you, then give us a call and we will discuss a build and we can go from there. We offer bigger stuff from here, but this is about what we normally do on fuel injection, and they get a little bit more extravagant, complicated as we go up from there. So all right, we'll talk to you on the next one.